Next Level Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the Simulation Football League.
Number 90, receiving team. First and 10 from 14-yard line.
to pass. He's going to go short, and it's going to be caught for a short gain. Brings out third down and long, and this is the trouble they got into on their first drive.
Yeah, the short passes, and then they kind of dig themselves in a little bit of hole and not able to get upfield, and now they're looking at a long 3rd and 10.
They'll spread it out 5 wide for Synergy, who is alone in the backfield. Snap is high in his face. He's forced to move to his right, and Synergy tastes the grass of Sports Gamers Online Stadium once again. This time it's Al Walker.
That time they got in there again. He had no one to pass to. It looked like he had an open man, but just was looking downfield and just couldn't get anybody in time, was brought down for the sack.
Second straight punt for Don Wilson. It could be a long day for DC if they can't get some offense going, because we've already seen that Baltimore can move the ball effectively, and they're going to get more good starting field position, this time at their own 41.
Yeah, second time having great field position. It didn't help that DC couldn't get very far down the field, so when they punted it, it wasn't really going to go very far, and now Baltimore's got it in a very comfortable situation.
Something to look out for. 99 career rushing touchdowns for Warren Murray. Needs one to get to that magic triple digits. We could get there on this drive. He dots the I. Everybody in the box for DC. Warren Murray batted down, gain of only 1. And there is a penalty flag. O'Rourke made the tackle.
Looked like that might have been a face mask on the play.
It is a face mask. Let's see who it's on. It's going to be against the Dragons. So a mistake by O'Rourke is going to give Baltimore better field position.
Yeah, they go from pretty good field position to even better, and now it's just a kind of a chip shot from the red zone.
They'll set up first down and 3 because it's penalty after the yards gained. Just shy of the 50. 2 receivers left, single right, strong side run. Warren Murray breaks a tackle inside the 40.
That time he was just rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, wouldn't be stopped. Eventually they had to gang tackle him, broke that first tackle, and then just rambled again, and then the gang tackle finally brought him down.
And coaches that I've talked to say this all the time. Tackle with your body, not with your arms. And Peanut Say got burned that time.
He did, and his coach is going to be talking to him on the sideline.
Again, DC stacks pretty much everybody in the box. Here's T. Roy Gaines, the fullback. First time today he gets a carry, and he'll gain 3 yards.
Leroy ran up the middle, and that time he might have had a hole to the right, but just didn't see it in time. Brought down, and only a gain of 3.
T. Roy Gaines tied for the second longest tenured player on this Vultures team. 9 seasons, beat out only by Giovanni Bolt's 10. Now on 2nd and 7. Wigmore throws. Oh, what a one-handed catch, falling backwards for Lloyd Graham Jr. to put Baltimore into the red zone.
That was a spectacular catch. I thought, going to that back shoulder, I thought he'd kind of drop it, but man, one-handed catch brought it down. The tight end, the big target, 6'6", brought it down, and now they're comfortably on the DC 18.
Similar position to where they kicked the field goal last time. They'll be looking for more this time around. Wigmore, nowhere to go.
Yeah, their running game hasn't had the greatest success. They had a few runs here and there, but right now DC's kind of doing their own great job to stop this run game at any point they can.
DC, not bad against the run last season, only averaged 77 yards against. That's good for 5th in the SFL. And you can see why Baltimore might have had some problems with DC, as they were only one of their 2 losses last season. Murray goes backwards.
And that time Murray had 5 Dragons around him, so he was going nowhere. He kind of shook off a couple tackles, but in the end they corralled him back there and took him down for a loss.
Now 3rd down and 11. It's going to be on Jack Wigmore to figure something out with his 4 receivers. He's got 3 to the right, 1 to the left. He's alone in the gun. 3 down linemen. They'll send a linebacker as well. The pass goes over the middle, and it's a 1st down. Needed 11, got 12.
That time, it was a man coverage, and he went right over the middle, caught it, stayed strong, and the tight end brought it down for the 1st down. That's exactly what they needed, and now they're sitting pretty on the DC 6.
It's still a little bit tough going for Warren Murray. They go line up in the I formation again. They're going to give it to him up the middle, and nothing doing. Nathaniel Diggs came up from his linebacker spot to make the tackle. He is one of 4 new pieces on this Dragons defense, and all of them came from either Denver or Queen City.
Right, 2 from Denver, 2 from Queen City, and it's really helped out to strengthen this defense.
2nd down and goal. Baltimore still showing run. They play run, and Murray into the teeth of the Dragons defense again and going nowhere.
And DC has had a great play call on the defense, stacking at least 8 men in the box every time that Baltimore comes out in a run-heavy offense.
And that's just good scouting and good coaching and game planning beforehand. Now they'll go 5 wide from the 8-yard line. Got to put it in the end zone here. Wigmore swings that left arm forwards, and it's incomplete. It was almost intercepted by Darrell Bullock, and I believe that was DeAndre Fields who had to play defense there to avoid the interception. It's 4th and goal.
That was a great job by the offense to knock that ball down because it looked like a sure interception, but they were able to knock it down. And, DC's going to be kicking themselves after not being able to wipe off 3 points off the board, basically.
So 37 yards was the first one for Shark Tarkington. This one considerably closer. It goes up. It is good from 24, and Baltimore double the lead to 6-0. But DC's defense bending without breaking here in the opening quarter.
And they've done a great job stopping this run. And now DC has, kind of a little bit of kind of momentum on their side, considering Baltimore has 2 drives and only 6 points to show for it. And now DC, they get a touchdown, and a point after, they're ahead.
Yeah, but 6 points for Baltimore, but DC has shown nothing on the offensive side of the ball. It's only 2 first downs for the Dragons as Gus Scott brings it up to the 29. The return game hasn't been stellar either. Nothing past the 30 in 3 attempts.
Yeah, it's another drive for DC that starts off pretty deep in Baltimore's territory, and now DC has to get something going so that they can put some points on the board because time is not on their side.
At least in the first quarter, it isn't. 32 seconds left to go in the opening frame. They're on their own 29. Synergy goes down for the 3rd time. 2nd sack of the ball game for Nate Brown.
Nate Brown came to play because that, like you said, that's his 2nd sack, and he beats the offensive lineman hard and then brings down Shabazz, and it's a great sack for this defense again.
This seems to be a defensive battle on both sides early on. It's just Baltimore has had a little bit more success moving the ball through the air and getting down into the red zone. Synergy on a swing pass. He finds Say, and Kevin Say gets most of it back and a little more. It'll be 3rd down and 5. After this short break, it's the end of the first quarter. Baltimore 6, DC nothing. You're watching the Simulation Football League live from HyperX Arena in Las Vegas. Speaking of HyperX Arena, Wade, talk about this venue that we're sitting center stage in right now, calling this game.
Absolutely spectacular. They really went above and beyond for this venue. I mean, we've got this giant screen behind us, and we're all up here on the stage, and it's just fantastic.
What's better than 3 sacks? 4 sacks for Baltimore as down goes Synergy again. I believe that was Al Walker picking up the sack.
This Baltimore defense came to play. They are coming to bring the pressure on the pass. And now DC, it looks like after this punt, Baltimore might have some pretty decent field position again.
I mean, they've started past their own 40-yard line for each of their first 2 drives. Could be better as Don Wilson gets it again. And actually, the fair catch called for and taken by Ivory Irvin will put them at their lowest starting field position of the game at their own 38.
That was a great punt and great coverage to stop them from crossing that Baltimore 40-yard line. And now Baltimore, like you said, worst field position of the day.
Well, when we talk about the Baltimore Vultures, we usually talk about the offense. Warren Murray and Jack Wigmore and all the great receivers. It's been the defensive line show for the Vultures so far today. First down and 10. There's a swing pass. Another penalty flag flies as dropped just advanced to the first down marker is Lloyd Graham Jr., but I got a feeling this one's coming back. Yeah, it's holding against the Vultures, so we'll do this again, minus a couple of yards. But yeah, going back to my point about the Baltimore defense, they came to play today.
They did. They're not giving DC any room to play with, and their line and linebackers are working in cohesion to really confuse that offensive line of DC to get back there and cause a bunch of havoc.
Wigmore in the gun, 2 receivers right, single left. Warren Murray on his hip to the right. He takes the bell tie snap, looks down the middle. It's tipped. It's in the scrum, and it is incomplete.
Looked like all slants, and that time it was all chaos because that ball was bouncing around in that traffic. And it looked like either way it could have come down with the ball, but luckily incomplete for Baltimore.
It ricocheted off the helmet of Peanut Say back there and could have gone anywhere. I think both teams are happy that it hit the ground and not in the hands of the opposition. Second down and 20 after the penalty. Wigmore, same formation, 4 wide, single back in the backfield. He goes out to the right. Murray will get the ball on a reception, and he steps out. Loss of 1 yard, 3rd and 21.
That time it looked like the same play, and that time they went to Murray on the little swing out, and really he kind of made a mistake and didn't notice that sideline was there and went out of bounds and lost a yard or 2, and now it's 3rd and 21.
These are the kind of situations that Jack Wigmore thrives in, as well as his receiving core. Let's see if he can dial up something here. Looks like those all slants again. With the 1 receiver this time split out to the left. He goes over the middle, and it's knocked away. And this time the DC Dragons play the excellent defense. Darrell Bullock, the second-season veteran, knocks that one away. And it's 4th down. Baltimore will punt for the first time today.
That time, Baltimore's extremely lucky that DC didn't pick that off and have great field position. Their best of the day, and that definitely would have threatened to put DC on the board.
Well, unless Matty Coffins, the rookie free agent, puts this one to the moon, DC are going to have their best field position starting of the day. And it's going to be returned from the 35, and nice point of contact tackle by Marvin Himes on Gus Scott. But still, DC's going to have to get something going. We're a quarter and a half in here, Wade. What do you see that they can change up to fix the offense?
I mean, maybe run it a little more. They were having success running a little bit, but we haven't seen it much at all. Baltimore's really been locking down the pass game because their line has just been breaking through the offensive line.
Yeah, it's like a hot knife through butter on the offensive line for DC right now. Let's see if they can fix those issues. They are going to go to the run game, but again, the offensive line goes out to lunch, and Saron Yates IV is sitting in the belly of the running back before he even gets the ball.
I mean, you've got your pass rushers on Baltimore, and then you've got your run stoppers, and right there, Saron Yates IV just blew up the backfield and got the loss.
2nd and 12. This time Say does get to the second level. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage, falls forward for 2 more. The last time these 2 teams met, DC beat Baltimore 24-17. It was one of only 2 losses for the Baltimore Vultures last season, as of course they went on to win the title. But they did it by stopping Warren Murray, only 1 touchdown and 34 yards.
Yeah, for sure. There were 19 carries in that game for Baltimore and only 52 yards.
Sidearm sling, and that's incomplete. It was intended for Josh Gill. And 4th down and 8. It's going to be a 4th consecutive punt for DC.
And, you know, DC is just trying to get something figured out and try to right the ship because Baltimore is very much threatening to pull away if they can get a couple more scores. But DC has to get out of this funk and get out of this flat state.
It's going to be Ivory Irvin deep back to receive the Don Wilson punt again. It's high in the air, just shy of the 30, and he's not going to get much farther than that. Only a 2-yard return, and Baltimore takes back over, leading 6-0. All right, we've got a little bit of a lull in the action here, Wade. What has stood out to you over the offseason as a whole that you think is the most relevant early on in the season in the SFL?
Definitely, I'd say the expansion. I mean, we gained 4 new teams, and really that's going to add more players, add more talent. Really, it's going to make these teams have to kind of strategize a little more.
Running game has been tough for both teams, and it continues to be. And another penalty flag flies here, and I think that's going to be on the offense again for a hold.
Yeah, they've been kind of playing sloppy today, and it looks like their second hold of the day. And you know that is not going to be happy, especially for that coaching staff. They're really going to need to talk to this team and get them to clean it up a bit.
Kevin Guy is on the hook for the hold, and Baltimore will face a 1st down and 15. I agree that the expansion teams is always interesting. Of the 4, which branding do you like best? I know I'm putting you on the spot here. We'll get to your answer after this play. Wigmore, short over the middle, and that'll be Mac Chima to get almost back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd out of 14 coming up.
Back to your question, I'm going to have to say maybe Motor City. I'm really a fan of their logo and all their, jerseys and stuff. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I really like the bold colors that Seattle went with, the green and the purple. I'm a sucker for purple, so I like them. Here's 2nd out of 14. Formation we haven't seen yet. Wigmore plenty of time. Chima makes the catch and sets up a manageable 3rd and 3.
Definitely manageable. It helps. Shortens that field, and now they're looking 3rd and 3, like you said. And really now you would think maybe they could possibly go to Murray or maybe even T-Roy. But, hey, DC has been playing lights out against the run today.
That last play, they kept both T-Roy and Warren in the box to protect the pass. They're going to go with T-Roy. Gains, he muscles forward. He's just short by about a half yard, and we'll see if they try to go for it here on their own 41.
You'd think maybe they'd punt it with how great their defense has done against DC today, but I would not put it against them if they went for it.
Yeah, that would be a very T-Pat, TJ kind of move to go for it in this situation. But it's the first game of the season. They're going to play cautious. Here comes Matty Coffins out for his 2nd punt of the game. A lot of lefties on this Baltimore team. Wigmore, a lefty quarterback, and Coffins, a lefty kicker. Tarkington, a lefty kicker. And he does well in pinning DC at their own 23. I think it's going to have to be from the passing game that DC gets this going here.
I agree, because it seems that both teams are having trouble running it, and whereas the pass has been a little more effective, but DC really has to find those plays that are going to work against Baltimore.
Sebastian Synergy in his 6th season, started all the way back with the Dallas Roughnecks, as they used to be known. Completes his first pass over the middle, 2nd down and 4.
That time to Lauren Percoco. She got it and picked up 6, and now DC's starting this drive off with a pass and was completed, so they can keep this up. It'll be their best drive of the day.
Lauren Percoco, 6'7", 260, her 2nd season in DC, 4th overall in the SFL. Offset I single receiver to the right on 2nd and 4. Rushing game continues to be stalled out by Baltimore. Alvin Mack with the massive hit at the line of scrimmage.
And Alvin Mack has lived in the backfield today. That's his 2nd tackle for a loss today, and the 2nd in a few drives, and really he's just been blowing up those holes and blowing up the backfield.
And because the defenses are the standouts, we're almost approaching halftime. 5 minutes to go first half. And, Kevin Say almost fought through that mass of bodies, but he couldn't quite get there. 4th and 2, and it's a 5th straight punting situation for DC.
And really, that was a great job by Baltimore to get in there, get a bunch of jerseys in there, because he looked like he had a hole or two, but Baltimore got there, got their arms on him, and slowed him down enough to get the whole team in on the tackle.
Warren Murray, not just a great, that one was blocked, not just a great rusher, but also receiver, over 2,400 receiving yards all time and 17 touchdowns. Haven't seen him used out of the flat so far today. Could see that here upcoming.
Definitely want something to watch because, like you said, we haven't seen it, but that is definitely a dangerous play that they use in their arsenal.
Wigmore back to work. He completed the 3rd most passes in the league last season, 359, and had the #1 completion percentage at 78.7%. He takes a 5-step drop, moves to his right. He's being chased. He throws it complete. First down to midfield. Ivory Irvin picks it up, but that was all the Jack Wigmore show.
You said it, partner, because Jack was kind of scanning the field as he was rolling out of the pocket. Saw Ivory Irvin right there, slung it to him, picks it up, and picks up that first down right at midfield.
Straight in the center of the Baltimore Vultures logo at midfield. Wigmore this time goes to the slant pattern, and G.J. Bandit shakes a defender off his back and eventually is tackled for a gain of 4.
Methodical right now. DC has to do something to slow down the Baltimore offense even more because they've got the running game slowed down, but this passing game is very deadly, and it's showing tonight.
2nd down and 6. 2-step drop. Man comes open on the crossing pattern. It's Daly Holder, and he's eventually driven out of bounds close to the 30-yard line.
That time it looked like a wide receiver, Daly Holder, on a linebacker, and you'll take that as an offense every single time because that speed is hard to keep up with as a linebacker, and that time it showed, and they picked up the first down.
4th season veteran Riley Hughes was the mismatch there. He made a great play in the first quarter coming in to make a tackle for loss, but that time, you said it, mismatch all the way, and the wide receiver makes him pay. First down, Baltimore driving again, looking pretty dangerous. The only thing they haven't done this game is put it in the end zone. Wigmore, plenty of time, floats it up. And incomplete. That came off the shoulder pad of Lloyd Graham Jr. Nice coverage on the back end by Peanut Say.
And it seems like Baltimore's kind of game plan to really target their tight end. That's, I think, the 3rd target for the big tight end, Lloyd Graham Jr., and 2 catches on the day, 1 drop, but, it looks like they're involving him early and often.
4 down linemen for DC, 3 linebackers. They shift to the left. 2 tight ends set, both to the left of Wigmore. Quick pass over the middle. That pass is complete. Lloyd Graham Jr. picks up another first down into the red zone straight at the 20.
That time he found a nice little soft spot in the zone defense and was able to pick up that nice little gain, pick up the first down, and now they're comfortably in the red zone and very much threatening to score.
Under 3 minutes to go in a very quick-moving first half. I mentioned that a little bit because the defenses have been so dominant. But here we go. Baltimore, their 3rd trip to the red zone. Can they finally put it in the end zone this time? And they're going to have a free play here. Offsides jumps DC, and it's not a great play. The pass was behind Ivory Irvin. He only got about 4, so you think they got to accept a penalty here.
You would think because, you get the 5 yards instead of the 4, and you get that down as well.
Man, they're showing all the games at once here at the convention, and every time something happens in a game, the crowd goes nuts, and it's just a great environment to be a part of. And, man, I had my doubts about coming out to Vegas. It was a long way for me. It was a bit expensive, but, man, just sitting here, being among the SFL family makes this all worth it. First down and 5 after the penalty. Here's the swing pass to Murray. He's got a burst of speed inside the 5 and pushed out of bounds at the 2.
That was a great touchdown-saving tackle by the linebacker. He would have really just sauntered into the end zone, but luckily DC got their man out there, knocked him out of bounds because Murray had a head of steam and really was on his way and luckily brought him down.
That was Riley Hughes, who got beat on the first down play earlier, making up for it by denying the touchdown. Now it's first and goal at the 2. Remember, Warren Murray has 99 rushing touchdowns in his career. Oh, we're going to have to wait for the 2-minute warning. The agony of waiting here. You're watching the SFL live from HyperX Arena in Las Vegas. Michael Trevino, Wade Phillips, here at center court, as it were, on the main stage here at HyperX. Warren Murray dots the I. Could this be the moment he breaks into triple digits? He gets the handoff, he spins, and he's in! Touchdown, Baltimore, number 100 for Warren Murray.
And he gets to the century mark in the first half. There we go. And now Baltimore gets on the board with their first touchdown of the day as well. And now looking to maybe make it a 13-point ball game.
He was met in the hole by Josh Vasquez, and that is a typical Warren Murray-esque spin move to get free and waltz into the painted turf.
That's right, partner. Just turned on the spin cycle, got out of there in a hurry, and walked into the end zone. And now Baltimore looking like they've got a head of steam behind them.
The reigning champions starting to turn the screws a little bit as they push their lead to 13-0. And even though they've got 13 points, the emphasis has been on the Baltimore defense. They've been outstanding, especially up front.
They have played a nearly perfect game. I'd actually call it perfect because I can't even think of more than maybe one first down for DC.
Shark Tarkington to kick it off. Gus got back deep to receive. And he will just take a knee. 1:57 to go in the second.
So what do you think DC needs to do on this drive to maybe, pick up a first down? I mean, because that, if they can get that going, maybe they can get some momentum on their side and get something going because DC's defense came to play today.
Yeah, I think what you need to do is get playmakers in space. Try some swing passes, try some runs to the outside. Here you go. They're going to throw an outside pass to Kevin Say, and he picks up 9 yards.
Yeah, just like that. You said it, and they did it, and really they need to rely on Kevin Say a little bit more because he's too good to be just kind of a bystander in this ball game. He's just explosive through the pass game and run game as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to make the adjustment, right? You've been stonewalled up the middle for 5 drives. Try the outside because there's got to be something open out there. Swing pass again into the hands of Kevin Say. He puts on the spin move this time and for the first time gets up past the 40. Maybe DC has found something here as they've gone up tempo. Synergy, man in his face, gets it out to Say. Say tries to put the spin move on the defender, but Ben Stackenpaper, the 5th season veteran, was having none of it.
Great open field tackle by Stackenpaper, and that really stopped that first down.
Synergy, they've got this play in the bag, and it's getting them about 8-9 yards every time.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're getting that kind of gain each time, why not lean on it a little bit? And that's what they're doing.
There was a massive explosion of noise from the crowd as something happened in another game. We can't see the other games because they're behind us. All I know is whenever something happens, people get loud. There was a lot of cheering for the Warren Murray 100th touchdown. That was a big moment. Let's see if DC can get one of those moments as well. Synergy once again to the outside, and this time Baltimore makes the adjustment as I believe that was Troy Loshaw make the tackle. They're still going to go up tempo here, though. 33 seconds to go in the opening half of play here at the convention. They go to say again. This time he's got a blocker. He breaks a tackle, picks up a first down. Timeout, DC Dragons.
Yeah, it looked like that might have been a little bit of a screenplay because they got that offensive lineman out there clearing a hole for him. Got another lineman out there to pick up another block, and he split right through it and then picked up that first down, and then open field tackle by the lineman brought him down.
And they've gone to that screen/swing pass basically every play on this drive, and it's worked out. They're at their best field position of the day at the Baltimore 36.
And it'll be interesting to see if Baltimore makes a correction to stop that play in the second half.
Right now they got to stop DC from scoring before the end of the half. Synergy, time in the pocket, throws across the middle. First down, Mike Churchill caught that one in stride.
And then they switched it up, the slant over the middle, split the opening, and got that first down. That's exactly what they needed. Now DC absolutely flying down this field.
And he went straight by Marvin Himes. That's not an easy guy to get past on the bump and run situation. On the Baltimore 22 now, 20 seconds to go. Bunch formation left, single right. Say in the backfield. Synergy has for the release late and is complete. They got that one out there to Churchill right at the end, and it's going to be 2nd and 8.
Think they're going to call timeout with a couple seconds left? Because there it is.
Yeah, they're going to call timeout, and I think they're probably going to kick a field goal just to get something on the board before the half. But it's momentum that's important for DC. They've got the ball movement. They found something that Baltimore isn't blowing up, and they've gotten some positive results out of it.
Absolutely, and now they're going to possibly get 3 points, which is already a 2-score ball game, but now it makes it even closer. And, 2 touchdowns, that puts them ahead.
The kicker for DC is Potty, who was introduced live at the convention down the hype tunnel before the game, as was everybody in attendance who is playing in this first block of games. That wasn't the best snap, but the hold is good, and the kick from 37 is good, and DC is on the board, now down just 10, headed to the half.
And you can imagine Potty possibly buying that holder some dinner after the game, because that saved him from a little bit of a snafu maybe.
Say that 5 times fast. Potty, possibly. That's a little bit of a tongue twister for your Monday afternoon. We have hit the end of the first half here from Sports Gamers Online Stadium and live at the SFL Convention HyperX Arena. Baltimore Vultures 13, DC Dragons 3. Here are some highlights scrolling across your screen while we get the analysis of the first half. Go ahead.
So look at those rushing yards. We've got 21 total in the ballgame, 18 for Baltimore and 3 for DC. So definitely those teams really want to turn that around. But, hey, the passing game started turning on near the end of the half and really got DC on the board. Baltimore, on the other hand, was able to drive down the field and get that Warren Murray touchdown for his 100th of his career, And now Baltimore has to maybe correct what they were doing defensively for that last drive of DC. And Baltimore, if they can stop that type of play, they're going to be in a better spot. But DC really, if they can maybe expand on what they were calling in that last drive, they have a chance to possibly keep this game pretty tight.
As we just saw the most important moment of the first half, which was Warren Murray's 100th rushing touchdown of his career. Baltimore up 10 at home, the defending champs, first game of the season, but it hasn't been as convincing as maybe Baltimore fans would have liked.
Absolutely, especially with this being a rubber match of their last meeting where DC, again, beat Baltimore in Week 12 last season, and now Baltimore really wants to get a bit of a revenge match, and now it's looking like they're on the right track.
Welcome back to Sports Gamers Online Stadium here in Baltimore. Check out sportsgamersonline.com or check them out on YouTube and see why millions visit their website and YouTube channel. Baltimore with a 10-point lead, and they'll start at their own 20 after a deep punt is corralled and kneeled down by Ivory Irvin. And we saw late in the first half both teams pick it up with the passing game, but it was different styles. Wingmore likes to go deep, whereas it was all about the swing pass for DC.
Absolutely. And, I mean, if it's me, I'm not changing what I'm doing because, A, Baltimore's ahead, and for DC, it was working in that last drive, so, hey, try it out, and if it doesn't, try something else out there.
Fullback T-Roy Gaines muscles his way through almost a first down, and you can tell that T-Roy is a converted running back to fullback because when he hits the hole, he motors.
Yeah, it's another gear that he has other than most of the fullbacks in the league, but T-Roy definitely, you can tell he was a running back because, I mean, he hits that hole in a hurry, and he runs with violence.
Now, of course, a fullback and a three-time SFL champion, as 3 of the last 4 titles have gone Baltimore's way. Warren Murray off tackle, first down, gain of 5.
And Baltimore, it looked like in that halftime locker room talk, might have talked to their offensive line to maybe open up some holes for the running game because so far in the second half, Baltimore's had some success in the run game, and whereas in that first half, they've already matched what they had in that first half.
And I like the off-tackle call at that point to move the defensive line laterally so they're not running straight at the running back. Penalty flag flies. Free play for Baltimore, and it's going to get about 5 to Ivory Irvin on the left-hand side.
And I would imagine they're going to take this penalty because, hey, they're going to get the 5 yards and get that down back.
This is the second offsides penalty against DC in the ball game. It's been a pretty ugly game in terms of that. I think 7 or 8 penalties combined so far.
Yeah, it's been kind of sloppy, but really it hasn't necessarily killed them, but it has not helped them at all.
First down and 5 for Baltimore. They'll be at their own 40-yard line. DC stacks everybody in the box against the 2 tight end I formation. They're going to give it to Warren Murray. He tries to bounce it outside, but there's no way he's getting away from the long arms of the 9-season veteran Jose Fuentes.
And that time, DC did their best to stop Baltimore's run game because those prior few plays, they were getting some traction, but that time DC stopped them.
And Jose Fuentes has been one of my favorite defensive players in the league for a long time, from Sioux Falls to Denver and now to DC. That time, the swim move put on by Murray, and he does pick up the first down.
Yeah, and it looks like a run-heavy offense for Baltimore in this second half, and we'll see how it kind of cohesion system match up with their pass game, where they can kind of get them off kilter with the run game and then break a big one with the pass game.
Well, do you think the strategy was, let's run the clock? DC has not shown us very much. Oh, look out. Here's T-Roy Gaines. He bulldozes through for 10 yards and a first down. But do you think that that was part of the strategy for Baltimore to drain the clock because DC hasn't shown anything of going on offense?
That's exactly right, because nearly all of that first half, DC couldn't do anything until that very last drive. And now DC, like you mentioned, probably wants to just run this clock out and make DC's offense try to beat Baltimore.
I would love to see time of possession stats at some point because Baltimore seemingly dominating it. That time the run doesn't go very far, but it is T-Roy Gaines again. I'm sure he's watching up in Ohio and loving every moment of this.
Absolutely. Getting him some run out there, getting some yards. And you mentioned it, I will bet that time of possession is just absolutely outstanding for Baltimore because DC was having 3 and out after 3 and out, so that doesn't help their time of possession at all.
It's been calm, cool, and collected from the Baltimore offense so far in this drive. There's a flag in the vicinity of a hold as Murray spins for a couple of yards.
And it can't be a nice thing for Murray that he picks up a few yards and it gets called back for the hold, but really Baltimore needs to clean this up because DC is going to take any chance it can get to get back into the ball game. And if they can get their offense back out there, who knows, they may run some of those plays that were working, get back down the field and put a score on the board.
Yep, Sebastian Synergy and company still cool on the bench over there on the other side of the Sports Gamers Online Stadium field. Haven't seen the field here in the second half, and there's already 7 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Two receivers left, single right, two in the backfield, split back style. Wigmore goes into a one-on-one matchup, and Makchima picks it up, negates the penalty, and gets a couple of more. 3rd down and 4.
Pretty much a really great outcome for that play because they were looking kind of in a hole after that hold, but now Makchima picks up a pretty decent gain and puts them in decent field position this 3rd down.
And that was straight wide receiver against corner matchup as he was matched up one-on-one with Daryl Bullock. Now into DC territory at the 39-yard line. Another free play. DC continues to shoot themselves in the foot, and it's going to be a 1st down because it was 4 to go.
Yeah, so the play gets washed out, but hey, free 1st down. They took a shot, couldn't quite get anything, but hey, it doesn't matter. They still get the 1st.
This is some of the most penalty yards I've seen in an SFL game in a long time. Both teams shaking off those early season jitters, and both coaching staffs not going to be happy in that regard.
Absolutely. You know, Baltimore really wants to get this ironed out early on in the season because they're just too classy of an organization to be having penalties every other play.
Split back, offset eye, 2 receivers to the right, 7 in the box. Here comes Warren Murray. He picks up a block. He gets up the field inside the 20 and is brought down inside the 10. Warren Murray starting to assert his dominance over the DC defense.
Really, that was great vision and blocking up front by the offensive line. He saw the holes and ran through them very swiftly, and then it took a behind a shoestring tackle to bring him down, and now Baltimore very much comfortably on the D7-yard line looking at a 1st and goal.
Did you see how far downfield T. Roy Gaines got on that play? He got 15, 20 yards downfield to make a block.
Absolutely flying out there and laying a shoulder on someone.
Wigmore, end zone, incomplete. That pass was a little bit too hot to handle for Makchima.
So what do you think, partner? Do you think we see some more runs in this inside the 10-yard line, or do they try to maybe get it through the air?
I say give Warren Murray at least one more go. It's 2nd down. The worst you could do is maybe have 3rd down and 7.
Absolutely agree with you.
I formation looks like they will give Murray another go. He will. Off tackle to the left. He is driven backwards and dropped by Riley Hughes, who has been the standout on the DC defense. He's been everywhere.
It happened. They tried to run. They got stopped, but now they've got that 3rd down, and they're only on the 7-yard line, so really we can see them try any number of things to try to get in the end zone.
3rd down and goal from the 7. They're going to go 4 wide, plus the tight end to the left. Alone in the backfield is Wigmore. He has time. He throws to the end zone. It's knocked away by Declan O'Rourke. 4th down and goal, and DC holds in the red zone for the 3rd time today.
That was a great defensive play, and that got the ball knocked down. It looked like they had an open man in the end zone. The tight end was open, but great job by Declan O'Rourke to knock that ball down and force this 4th down. Really, another field goal attempt.
Yep, 4th down, and another field goal attempt for Shark Tarkington, his 3rd of the game. This one will be from about 24. He's hit from 37, he's hit from 27, and now he's hit from 23 to give Baltimore a 16-3 lead. But DC hanging in there, they're not giving up touchdowns.
And really, I would think Baltimore can take that as a two-sided victory because, A, they get points on the board, and look how much clock they ran off the board. I mean, now we're looking at under 5 minutes after the first possession of the second half.
Just about an 8-minute possession that time for Baltimore, drained most of the third quarter clock away. And now let's see what DC has to do. They have limited time to get it done, and Gus Scott will bring it up to the 29-yard line.
Yeah, I'd like to see DC maybe do some of the same stuff we saw on that last drive of the first half because, hey, it worked. They got 3 points on the board. Hey, they're only down 13. 2 touchdowns put you ahead, especially if you can hold Baltimore to maybe a goose egg.
The warning for DC, though, is they know that works, and Baltimore knows that works. So if they go to it, will Baltimore be ready? We shall see. 5 wide, Synergy floats it over the middle. That pass is caught by Lauren Percoco for a first down.
Yeah, they went an empty backfield, and that time Lauren Percoco was open over the middle. She caught it, picked up the first down, and they continued to drive. And it looks like DC's on the right foot going down this field.
They got to the 39-yard line. Last season, the DC Dragons were 6th in scoring offense at 30.3 points per game. That time down the seam, wide open, was Josh Gill, another first down into DC territory.
Elijah Warfield made a great open field tackle that stopped the play because it looked like if he breaks that tackle, he's on his horse. But luckily there was a safety in the area, but hey, great open field tackle.
You said great tackle. He laid the wood, lowered the shoulder, and knocked him to the ground. But it is still a DC first down inside Baltimore territory at the 47-yard line. Synergy under center, one receiver each side, two-step drop. He has time in the pocket and an excellent deflection as that ball was going to Percoco again.
And that's the second time I've seen Troy Loshaw in the area of the play. He's doing a great job just kind of playing center field and really getting out there in a hurry, getting a hand on it that time, but he's been around the area in the area of tackles and with pass deflections.
Yeah, excellent back shoulder coverage by Troy Loshaw. Loshaw 9 seasons in the league, 5 seasons here with Baltimore, and that's something I wanted to bring up, and we talked about it pregame. The ability for this Baltimore franchise to maintain their core season after season after season is the main reason why they've been so successful.
Absolutely. We've seen for the past, I can't even think of how many seasons, but really Baltimore has been able to win over 8 games each season, and it really starts with the fact that they maintain their roster and keep all these players together, maybe bring in 1-2 players each season, but hey, they keep their core together, and most of these 5-6 seasons.
So Baltimore has not had below an 8-win season ever since they transitioned from the Baltimore Crabs to the Baltimore Vultures in season 11. Lowest they've been is 8-4, and Synergy goes down again. That's the 5th sack of the ball game for the Baltimore Vultures defense, and getting up off the canvas is Joe Duncan. That's his first sack of the game.
This defensive line for Baltimore has been playing lights out because how many sacks is that today?
5.
5 sacks today, and we're right in the third quarter, so, they are just absolutely destroying it out there.
And they got 3 of them on one drive, remember, early in the second quarter. So they have been eating this DC offensive line alive, and that kick is almost blocked. Barely got it away, did Don Wilson. And it's not going to be good field position for Baltimore, but they have the ball, and I'm going to bet that they're going to have the ball through the end of the quarter.
I totally agree. Unless DC stops them and it forces a 3 and out, this could end up taking us to the 4th.
This has been a very rapid game. We started late, an hour late, because of a little bit of tech issues, and we're only about an hour into the ball game, and we're already late in the third quarter. Here's Warren Murray dragging a couple defenders across for 5 yards.
And they're starting kind of how we expected, maybe run this clock out a bit, because now we're getting inside 3 minutes, and looks like Baltimore's just going to try to milk it for all they can.
And sometimes it's better to be efficient and ugly than pretty because, they're ahead 16-3. They've done everything they needed to do. It's not been flashy, but it's been good enough. Wigmore, that's a little flash in the pan as he hits a receiver over the middle. That's Mac Chima again up to the 41-yard line.
And really, you mentioned it earlier about the differences in these 2 quarterbacks. That right there is the difference between Jack Wigmore and Shabazz Synergy, because Jack looked downfield, whereas he had a flat open, but went downfield. That's what he loves to do, picked up the first, whereas I think we might have seen Shabazz maybe throw it out to that flat and try to pick it up that way.
And I've been impressed with Wigmore's mobility. He's been able to shift the pocket, move left to right, create time to find his receivers down the field. That time he has plenty of time, but maybe he chose the wrong option there as Chima is going to lose 2 yards as he's driven back by John DeSantis.
Yeah, he had to come back to that ball because it looked like Jack might have got a little happy feet back there, but he might be telling Mac Chima maybe, hey, come back, just stop. Look, give me a target, but hey, he came back and lost a few more yards.
Second down at a 12. It is imperative for DC to get off the field here. Wigmore to the flat, pass complete to Lloyd Graham Jr. That's his first catch of the second half, and brings up a 3rd down and 4.
Yeah, an 8-yard gain by the tight end, and they really have targeted him all throughout the ball game. In the second half, they've gone run heavy, but that time, tossed it to the tight end.
3rd down and 4. Once again, DC stacks the box, offset eye, strong side left, 2 receivers to the right. It's going to be a pitch off to the left-hand side. Warren Murray spins, stays on his feet, picks up a massive first down all the way to the DC 38.
And look at that, 18 to 25 for 181 yards for Jack Wigmore. That is great game. Hasn't really been off target that much, and it's really been beneficial that they've kind of been able to just run up this field. Hasn't been all perfect all day, but they've had their way so far.
He was pushed out of bounds, so the clock does stop temporarily. 1:06 to go, and now it runs again as the Vultures run up to the line. I formation, single receiver to the left. Under a minute to go, 3rd quarter. 16-3, Baltimore leads. Warren Murray up the middle. Nowhere to go against the 7-man front. He'll gain only 2.
And it looks like Baltimore's game plan that we kind of called right on this drive is living up to it, because it does look like they are just running this clock out and trying to get to the 4th quarter and not leave DC with any time to do anything.
This is the 4th meeting all time between the Baltimore Vultures and the DC Dragons after the Dragons resurrected themselves in season 16. Wigmore hit as he throws. Again, that's the same play with Chima coming back and being a help to the ball and losing yardage because of it.
In the end, partner, I think it's worth it, because if Wigmore gets sacked back there, they're losing more yards. So, I mean, yeah, they want to go downfield, but I'd rather that than take a sack.
3rd down at 11. I mentioned all time. It's 2-1 Baltimore over DC. The one victory for DC, 24-17 in Week 12 of last season. They have played every season since season 16 because they've been in the same conference. And that's a snipe and a great grab by Lloyd Graham Jr. to end the 3rd quarter. 4's up! And 86 is up in the chat. And here at the Las Vegas HyperX Arena at the Luxor, this is the Simulation Football League live from HyperX Arena in Las Vegas. 4th quarter on tap, Wade. DC hanging on for dear life. They're going to have to get some sort of stop, but it is 4th down, and it's a long field goal for Shark Tarkington.
Indeed, and DC can take this as a bit of a moral victory, because now, granted, if they get it, they're down 16, but that's 2 touchdowns and two two-point conversions.
Yep, he got it from 47, a very long field goal for Tarkington. He's 3 for 3, and Baltimore takes a 19-3 lead. It's got to happen, and it's got to happen right now for DC if they want to get back into this.
And let's see what they do on offense, because that last drive stalled a bit, and Baltimore took advantage of it. But DC, if they can maybe get a quick score here and there, they're right back in the ballgame.
And the Dragons have been more successful moving the ball late in the first half and in the second, because they've gone more to the quick slants and the swing passes and getting the ball out in space.
Looked like Baltimore might have corrected a few things in that halftime chat, but looks like DC needs to go back to the well that was of what was working late in the first half.
Let's see if they go back to Swing City. Nobody out wide, just the single receivers say in the backfield, and look out as the pincer move came from each side of the defensive line. 3 sacks today for Al Walker. Give him a hat trick.
Got the hat trick, and that's just splendid play by the defensive line. Look like there are multiple defenders back there that if he doesn't get him, someone else is getting him.
That was a loss of 6, so 2nd down and 16 now. And it's going to be on the arm of Synergy. who only completed 75% of his passes last season. That time's a pretty safe curl route, and he's going to get most of it back. It's going to be 3rd and 6 at the 24.
That's just what they needed. They just needed to get some of those yards back and make a much more manageable 3rd down. And now DC has to get a 1st down here, because if they're punting back here, Baltimore is going to be looking at very tasty field position.
2 receivers left, two receivers right, single left. Underneath it goes. Gus Scott makes the turn, 1st down, up to the 34-yard line, and they need more of that.
That's absolutely right. They need more 1st downs, definitely, but hey, they need to get a little farther downfield to pick up the longer yards instead of, 2, 3, 4 yards here and there. They need those longer plays.
They're going to go to the ground here with Say. That hasn't really been a fruitful ground all game, and he's only going to get 3 yards, 2nd down and 7.
No, it's not been working for the run game for DC, but they've been able to get Say out there in the flats on the screens and whatnot, and it worked late in the first half, but it's just not been working out in the second half.
And I think they need to go back to the swing pass. That was where they were most successful in the game. Although Say makes a spin move in the backfield and hits the afterburners, breaks a tackle 30, 25, dragged out of bounds to the 22-yard line. That's the best play for DC all game, and it sets them up in deep Baltimore territory.
And that's got to be one of the longest runs of the day for both squads. I want to say Warren Murray run earlier went pretty far, but that was just exceptional play for him. And now they're looking at red zone territory, 1st and 10.
That run was all the ingenuity of Kevin Say. He made that spin move in the backfield that hit the Jets. He was gone. Nobody was going to catch him except for a shoestring tackle, which did eventually happen. 1st down and 10 from the 22. Exact same play off tackle right, and this time Baltimore was ready for it. Nice open field tackle by Ben Stackenpaper.
Definitely those coaches coached them up right there, put them in the right positions. They were there, filled the gaps, brought them down for no gain.
And this speaks to the Baltimore coaching staff, because every time DC finds an edge, Baltimore's right there to shut it down 1 or 2 plays later.
Absolutely. It's some of the smartest coaches in the league. They are just so quick to adjust things on the fly and make it successful.
2 spin moves can't get Say past Alvin Mack. He does pick up 5 yards to the Baltimore 17, and it is important to keep the chains moving because they need touchdowns, not field goals.
Absolutely. They only need 5 yards right here. Maybe a similar play to what we saw for that last 1st down. Maybe an out route here, or maybe some slants maybe?
Well, they've got 3 receivers, 2 left, single right. It's going to be on the Armis synergy. Here comes the rush. The extra man gets through, and Nate Brown has his 3rd sack of the game. And it's 4th down and 12, all the way back at the 23. Just when you thought DC had a chance, look out. There is a big man in the backfield.
He has just lived back there. You mentioned it, 3 sacks today. That's 2 players on Baltimore's defensive line that have 3 sacks today. Just unbelievable.
8 overall for the Vultures. And it's going to have to be another field goal, this one of the 40-yard variety for Party. Snap is good, hold is good, kick is good from 40. DC on the board again, but it is 19-6. And you got to start thinking about being a little more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball to try and get a turnover or a turnover on downs.
Absolutely. Maybe 3 and out. You got to bring pressure on the offense, but really their offense needs to maybe get a little more aggressive to get downfield because they are slowly running out of time. Only 7 minutes and 10 seconds left in the game.
Party swings the right leg through it. It's going to be fielded to the 5. Here comes Ivory Irvin. He's working his way to the left, and he's going to be met by, I believe that was Carlos Levi of the DC Dragons. And it'll be 1st down and 10 at the 27.
And DC's not having the best field position all day. This is not even close to their best field position, but hey, Baltimore, sorry. They've had great field position all day. minus this.
Yeah, I'd ballpark DC's starting field position around the 30-yard line. Quick strike to Shima. Gets 12 and a first down up to the 40.
That time actually was going forward, whereas before, those past two pass plays to him, he was coming back and lost some yards, but that time he's had 8 receptions. That time picked up a big gain, and now Baltimore marching down this field.
And I think on that specific slant pattern, for both teams, the wide receivers have a little bit of a step on the corners in this early season game. It's been very successful for both teams. First and 10 for the Baltimore 40. 5 wide receivers for Wigmore to aim at. He goes deep. It's caught in traffic. Daly Holder, he hasn't made that much of an impact in the game, but he comes up big there. First down to the DC 42.
You mentioned he's been a bit quiet all day, but that time showed up at the right time, used all 6'4" of that frame to come down with that ball, come down with it in traffic, come down strong.
So I mentioned that both Al Walker and Nate Brown have 3 sacks today. I'll get back to my point after this play. Wigmore, middle, and I think you're starting to see DC be a little more aggressive on the front end and the space opening up in the back end.
And that's the drawback of being really bringing pressure, is that you don't have people back in the back with those defensive backs where, you can get behind the coverage and have quite a bit of room to work with.
And again, this drive is long. It's running time off the clock. We're almost down to 5 minutes to go. Well, Baltimore down inside of the 28-yard line of DC. 3-step drop for Wigmore. He feels the pressure, and finally a sack gets through for the Dragons.
They finally get there. They bring the pressure. It looked like they were bringing linebackers as well. And that time Josh Fuentes got back there and brought him down. And now Baltimore kind of on the back foot right here. But, they can just run it out a little bit. They're going to run out the clock for DC.
Yeah, second sack of the game for Fuentes. Him and Riley Hughes have been the 2 best players on that side of the ball for the Dragons, in my opinion. Second down at 14. Wigmore low to the backfield. 2 tight ends, one to the left, one to the right. Receivers split the same way. Wigmore, pressure in his face, almost throws an interception as it was batted down by who else? Riley Hughes.
Yeah, who else? He's been all over the field today. He's probably my defensive MVP for DC, and that time, if he catches that, he may be going for a while.
So I mentioned the sacks for Walker and Brown. Walker had 6 sacks altogether last season. Brown had 8. They're almost halfway to those numbers, and this is the first game of the year. 4 receivers to aim at for Wigmore. Now 5 as Murray goes out there. It's dropped on a dime in a bucket for a first down to Daly Holder.
I thought that would at least be batted down, but wow, that was just putting it on a dime right where only the receiver could catch it, just right in traffic, just right in there. Stayed strong, brought it down, and now they've got a first down, and this clock continues to run.
Took it right away from Peanut Say, and I want to bring up again that the wide receiver corner matchup is heavily favored for the wide receivers right now. Stutter step, cut to post, it's working every time. First and 10 at the 18, 4:35 to go. Baltimore squeezing the life out of the DC Dragons here in the opening game of the season, looking to avenge one of their only 2 losses from last year, a campaign that saw them go all the way and win their 3rd championship in 4 seasons. That run doesn't amount to much. Nice tackle by Hughes.
Hughes making another play, and now Baltimore really, the name of the game is clock management. If they can run the ball, they don't even have to get first downs right away. Just run this clock out as much as possible.
Already down under 4 minutes to go with a 19-6 lead. High formation, Murray dotting it as he has all game long, and for the last 10 seasons in the SFL with both Houston and Baltimore, he powers forward for a gain of 4.
That's another, 30 seconds off the clock. Manageable 3rd and 2. So, I'm assuming they're going to run it here. So, if they get that first down, it's just a game script at this point where they are just in control of their own destiny.
And they've been in control in terms of time of possession from the very start of the ball game. They have dominated on both sides, and they could be putting the nail in the coffin here with a trip to the end zones. 3rd down and 2. Right now they got to get inside the 8 for a first down. Warren Murray will get there barely. He was clung onto by Declan O'Rourke, who didn't quite have the arm strength to pull him backwards.
They needed it. They got the first down, and now fresh set of downs. They need 8 yards for pay dirt, but really that clock is getting awful low.
1st and goal, and I expect this will continue to be the Warren Murray show for as long as DC will let him do it.
Absolutely. Run that clock out.
Although they do go split backs, one receiver to right here, they could do something nifty with a swing pass. Nope, they're going to go right back to the ground game. This time it's T-Roy, and Gaines gets it up inside the 5.
Just another day's work for T-Roy. Gets another big play, 5 yards on the play. And, you know, he's just loving this because looking like they might get the victory here. But really, it's been a team effort. The defense has played well. Hey, DC's defense has played well. To hold Baltimore to only 19 points, whereas their offense is a little bit lagging behind.
We have reached the 2-minute warning here from Sports Gamers Online Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. The hometown Vultures lead the DC Dragons 19-6. You're watching the SFL live from HyperX Arena in Las Vegas. Michael Torello, Wade Phillips, happy to have the company here of the SFL family here at the HyperX Arena. Could this be the nail in the coffin? It's going to be T-Roy Gaines. He's going to walk untouched into the end zone. Baltimore are flying away with this one.
That's a touchdown for Murray, a touchdown for T-Roy, and now they're splitting it, and they're splitting a victory because it looks like Baltimore is going to walk away with a victory here tonight. 25-6 right now, pending the point after, which may make it 26-6, but hey, it's been a great game for both of these teams. DC's offense just hasn't been able to match up to Baltimore's offense.
And I think the offensive line for Baltimore is going to be getting some steak dinners after this game. They have been eating the defensive line alive. Only 2 sacks, only 3 tackles for loss in the whole game.
Absolutely. They did their job, and they're going to get the victory. And Baltimore has played a very great game, and it's showed that they're going to possibly carry over from that championship season last season and now maybe continue that path on to the playoffs again.
I mean, was there any doubt that Baltimore was going to be championship favorites? They returned basically their entire roster. The only person different is DJ Bandit, as he joined from Atlanta. Everybody else is the same. They won a championship last year. Why not again?
Absolutely. I mean, if you had to pick someone to win it all before the season starts, the money bet usually is going to be Baltimore for the most part because, I mean, like you mentioned, only bringing in one new player, brought in a punter that's new, but really to keep just about your entire squad the same is just speaks to really the inner workings of this club.
And if you look at the potential challengers, they've all had a rough offseason. Tom Pepper retired from Vancouver. Lone Star Glory lost a lot of pieces who they beat in the championship game. Nice over the feet of a middle for a first down there to Gus Scott. I mean, who else is really going to challenge them?
Right. I mean, as you mentioned it, most of those clubs have lost more people than you can count, but Baltimore's kept cohesion the same. And it's just, I can't think of anybody else that is as big of a favorite to win it all.
Oh, what a knockdown on the back end that was. I believe it was Elijah Warfield matched up one-on-one. It was indeed. This one might take the highlight reel. Boom.
That was explosive because, you know, that receiver is not short, and then for Elijah Warfield to get up there and knock that down is a great play by this defensive back.
Maybe a chance for the DC Dragons to hold their heads up high here in the late going. They had a couple of big passes down the field. Synergy looked like he wanted to step up to run, throws it sidearm, and it's in and out of the hands of Ronnie Shanahan. the rookie from Annapolis, looked about as confused about that play as we were.
Yeah, there must have been warning buzzers going off in Shabazz Synergy's head. Danger, danger, danger. Get it out of there. And he did. Unfortunately, just incomplete.
I remember when he first started with Dallas, they liked to try and use him in running packages, and it almost looked like they had gone back to that for a second, where he would just take off and run, and that time the pass is slipped in there to Mike Churchill. He's going to get a first down to the Baltimore 38.
And he was able to get out of bounds, so they stopped this clock. Maybe DC can put another score on the board and maybe make it a little more interesting.
And I want to talk about that because coming up, the main event of Block 2 is going to see a similar style as Motor City takes to the field for the first time since their move from St. Louis. They take on Tulsa, and they're going a kind of similar way where they're trying to run heavy quarterback and heavy formations, a lot of run blocking. How do you see that potentially playing out against Tulsa?
Well, I see Tulsa maybe stacking the box, especially in run play looks, but I see maybe the linebackers staying strong and maybe stopping a running play. But hey, we don't see that much in this league, and so it could be something that's so unique that catches us off guard.
And we have seen that before. Some of the greatest innovations that everybody thought wouldn't work, like star defensive linemen, and multiple ones at that. Like, people were, when Tallahassee in Alaska started putting stars on the D-line, everybody was like, what is this? You want your stars on the outside where they can make plays. And then they met in the championship game back-to-back seasons. Florida won 3 titles using primarily that strategy. So who knows? It may be the next great advancement in the SFL meta.
Absolutely. I mean, if you get an absolute star out there at quarterback that can make it a threat to run in the pass game, that it opens up avenues for the whole offense.
We got a 4th and inches here, and it's going to be incomplete turnover on downs. That play was kind of a non-starter. It was knocked away by Agoram Young, who is the backup cornerback. And there was not really anybody in the vicinity of that pass.
It was just right in the area of a few Baltimore defenders, and that time it caught the safety off guard and hit him right in the chest, and now DC's day looks to be just about done, and Baltimore can possibly just run this game out.
Are you surprised we haven't seen any turnovers? Like, yeah, this is just a turnover on downs, but like in-play interceptions, fumbles like that.
I am a bit, just because in the past few matchups with these teams, we've seen quite a few turnovers, and in those past playoff games, we saw a few turnovers. But to keep a clean sheet, I mean, that's kind of a victory in itself. Granted, DC didn't get the result they wanted, but, I mean, you can take that they didn't really have that many penalties. They didn't have any turnovers. They had turnover down, like you said, but no turnovers.
And I think that's just maybe some formation tweaks, some playbook tweaks for DC, and they'll get that offense rolling. They've shown some flashes with the swing passes, with the quick slants, getting receivers in space against corners and especially linebackers, but it hasn't been enough of either to really make an impression on this game.
Absolutely. And really, it doesn't help that they're playing Baltimore. I mean, you go against arguably the best team in the league. It's going to be tough for anybody, but DC did a few things here that they can kind of look at and grow from, pick out the plays that are working, and go with those.
And with that first down, Jack Wingmore can kneel it down, force DC to use their timeouts, and Baltimore will convincingly bury one of their demons from last season. They avenge their loss to the DC Dragons. They will win this one 26-6 here at the packed HyperX Arena in Las Vegas.
And really, it was kind of a perfect day for them. They get the big victory, and they get the win in the grudge match from last season. So, hey, it's a victory inside a victory.
mean, you can't go wrong for Baltimore. Their defense all deserves player of the game. 8 sacks. They didn't give up a touchdown. Players were batting passes down, making open field tackles. You scored 26 points, which is maybe a little under where you want to be, but it's early in the season. It will get better from an offensive standpoint. But, man, TJ and T-Pat have that defense looking clean, and it is scary for anybody who is going to face this Baltimore Vultures team. Pray for my Carolina Skyhawks, please. We have to face them twice.
Yeah, I don't envy you on that. But, yeah, Baltimore, like you said, they probably wanted to score more, but they'll take a 20-point victory, and really just about everything was working. Like you mentioned, the whole defense, I'd give them the player of the day. That defensive line in particular with 8 sacks, standout game, and really just going to run this clock out, maybe kick it. Yep.
Yeah, the clock hits zeros when the ball is dead. The game is over. I do want to highlight a couple of players from D.C. Mike Churchill was impressive on the offensive side, made a couple of nice tackles. Kevin Say, really well done when he got out in space and was able to make defenders miss. And on the defensive side, I think they have a future superstar in Riley Hughes, who was everywhere and did everything for the D.C. defensively.
Absolutely. He was all over the field, making plays in the backfield, making plays in the passing game. He is my D.C. defender of the day. Baltimore's defensive line, to me, gets the nod for players of the game. And offense, I would probably maybe go with Lloyd Graham Jr. because we saw him get quite a few pass plays called his way. He was able to convert most of them, and he made them pay. He picked up first downs. And when the run game wasn't working in the first half, they kind of leaned on Lloyd Graham Jr., and it really got them a lead in that first half, and they didn't look back.
Yeah, I don't think you can give offensive MVP to anybody except Warren Murray. He got the big highlight, 100 career rushing touchdowns. What a great moment for him. He is going to be in this league for a long time. He's been in this league for a long time, and he's heading a Baltimore squad that seemingly has no ceiling.
Absolutely. I mean, the sky is the ceiling. And this run game for Baltimore kind of culminated in a victory because they were able to get some things working, got both the running backs touchdowns, and they were effective.
Yeah, T.Y. Gaines had a fantastic game. You were wondering about time of possession. 26 minutes of time of possession for Baltimore. That is over double the amount of time that DC had on the ball, and that maybe is the most important stat of all. The MVP is going to be Warren Murray, 68 yards, the 100th touchdown of his career, 36 receptions as well. Well, I don't want to get off this stage, and I know you don't either, but the game is over, and it's time to say goodbye. For Wade Phillips, my name is Michael Turitto. Thank you so much for tuning in for 19 seasons of SFL football. The party is just getting started. We got 2 more blocks of games today. Tune in all day. The next game on the main stage is the debut of the Motor City V8s against Tulsa. Once again, my name is Michael Turitto, saying see you next time.